Is reselling ruining the hobbies? And I'm saying
your guys' answer. the Mr. Krabs choices, huh?
Right off rip, dude.
Give me another question or something that like leads that. I mean, I feel like unless one of you guys has a rebuttal
to that.
Okay, so like maybe more of like that was more of like just like the statement, right? You could just say, is reselling made it harder for genuine collectors in the hobby?
Go ahead, Rick. You start.
I feel like I was going to say, like, for video games, I feel like it's not as bad because it's not as crazy. Like, there's not as crazy as, like, like there's collectors, but they're not crazy collectors. Like, I feel bad for the Pokemon people because they're getting
That's
screwed.
what I was just going to say. Yeah.
Literally, the reselling thing is messing them up. For us, it's not as bad because there's only so many of us. Pokemon, though, is like a whole, it's like a global, like, you know.
I think what, like, kind of makes your choice is like, do you consider yourself more of a reseller or more of a collector?
I like that
because I think that's going to be your answer, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think for me, I like to say I'm in the middle. You know, I do sell a lot too.
Yeah.
But I also collect a lot, and I see both perspectives. As I think reselling, you cannot argue is like, in my opinion, you can't argue that like it's a part of it. You can't, it wouldn't be, people collect stuff because there is a little bit of that inherent value.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be picking up, you know, garage fills of stuff that's worthless.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be putting your money into something that at least will maintain its value, if not go up over time. So I think having a certain level of that is kind of necessary in the hobby to kind of keep that going.
Yep.
But at the same time, when it gets to the point where people are so greedy, it gets so egregious. Yeah, to where, you know, people are having to pay, you know, get priced out of the hobby essentially.
Which is like Pokemon, what you guys are saying.
Yeah, where you can't even go to the store and pick it up because it's like $200, $300 for a box that just came out.
Yeah.
Then it does kill the hobby because there's no next generation or people that are going to latch onto that because who the hell had it? You know, who got to experience it? So I think that's where it kind of is in the middle.
I think you nailed it. In my opinion, it's a fine line, like the relationship between the resellers and the collectors, because there's no reselling if there's not collecting, right? And if everybody switches to just being a reseller too, that's when it like really the market dies out, in my opinion. A good example of that is probably like the Star Wars Episode 1 figures. Like nobody collected those. Everybody bought those to resell and thought that they were going to be worth money. And have you ever met an Episode 1 figure collector? Maybe there's been a couple of them.
$2.
They're still worth like $3 because everybody only bought those to resell. There was nobody that actually collected them. So the reselling can kill things.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a fine balance. Like in the Pokemon world, I think there's still a fair amount of collectors. Like people are collecting those cards. Hence, you have a lot of resellers, right, that are getting into that market because there's money to be made.
Yeah.
But if the collectors fall off, forget it. It's all falls apart. So, yeah.
What would you say that it is within the market of like video games? Like if you're a person, are you like overbuying, right, is a thing? When you're out at a swap meet, do you think that has some, you know, neglect to it?
Say that a question.
Like when you buy out like an entire thing, like a vendor, right? And there's a lot of inventory. Do you think that like that gets a lot of backlash?
There's always backlash, I feel like, on YouTube. Like when you buy big lots or buy out a booth, they're like, oh, save some for the rest. But 99% of those people weren't going to go to the swap meet and go look for it themselves.
They're not getting up at 4 a.m.
No.
They're
Getting
not
up at 4 a.m.
You know,
They're
making
not,
the connections that are possible to.
Yeah, the connections is huge. A lot of people will say that and they'll go, well, that guy just held this stuff for you. And it's like, yeah, because after all of his years of doing this, he has learned, at least from his perspective, hey, I like working with that guy the best, right? He wouldn't do it.
It's easy.
He wouldn't do it for us or you. You have your people, you have your people. You know, if we were the worst option, they're going to pick the option that they like best. So let's say, like, you know, if we'll use Dusty an example, even though he doesn't hold everything for us, sometimes he will go through those phases. Like, I bet Riff and those guys will pay me the most. I'm going to hold it for them. That's their decision to do that. So, and even us, if we did want to buy, you know, a vendor we just met and buy the whole booth out because the deals were great, then we're still going to be doing the same thing they were doing. We're still going to resell it to someone else. Right? Or collect the pieces we want. either way that we're going to end up being resold.
In essence, you're offering a service to Dusty when you buy a big lot. Too. Dusty doesn't want to sit there and piece that stuff out to a collector, right? Like he'd have to have 100 collectors come to buy that stuff. So
it's two things. He wants to move it, and he doesn't want to get screwed.
Right. Like ultimately when it ends up at a store like mine or on Encore or whatnot, like then it's going to end collectors, ideally, you know. But yeah, so when you buy out a booth,
I feel like a lot of people's huge concerns is, do you think that like YouTubers are inflating nostalgia?
I would disagree.
Go ahead.
Go for it. Hey, all right, we're back to agree or disagree.
Go ahead. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think that if anything, influencers are bringing more people into those hobbies and making it more like, I think that if they're, as a kid who, you know, being of ethnic background, there wasn't a lot of kids that I connected.
Half black, okay?
There wasn't a lot of
Trying
kids
to claim the black card.
You know, like they were into basketball. You know, they were into like, no, for real though.
He said it.
Yeah,
He said it.
Like legitimately, you know, a lot of my like friends and families, their kids were into that stuff. You know, they weren't like, you know, over here, you know, really into like, you know, SpongeBob or like Lord of the Rings or any of the geeky stuff that I'm into. So the internet was, like I said, I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. Like I was able to find that grouping and at least people I could connect with through the internet. And I think, you know, obviously it sounds a little biased coming from, you know, a YouTuber, but I think what I started my channel for was to be able to connect with people that kind of had similar interests and be able to have a conversation. And I think we've all kind of worked on building a community around that. Like there's people on my Discord channel that would have never met if it wasn't for the channel and them connecting, and just being able to make that hub to where there's conversations can be had that probably wouldn't be possible in their hometown.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and the whole reselling thing, like we've talked about it before, but I just feel like it's always been happening within the collecting scene. Always. There's no such thing as you buying something without someone reselling it to you. So if you have a collection, you have supported a reseller through the whole process. You know, someone has sold it to you unless you were stealing it. The only thing is that has changed is it's just become more normalized. That's it. We've talked about it. We don't need to talk about it more. It's just been more normalized as more people who are like vocal about it. Like, hey, yeah, of course we resell. Why wouldn't you? That's weird. And it just became more normalized within the scene. And now I'm always surprised that it's still a conversation.
I think it's because people see it as like YouTubers are giving away some kind of secret sauce all the time. Like, oh, well, I was the one that was going to these stores, picking up all these items for this price. And now this guy's made a video exposing that. And now I'm mad because he's given other people the same opportunity. So I'm going to go on the internet and complain about it because he's ruined my direction, I guess, or like my lead.
Yeah,
of what I'm doing.
I agree with that. And a lot of it has to do with I hate to use the term, but I do use the term purists, like the original guys that were in the scene. Maybe they were the original OG comic book collectors or Pokemon collectors. They're very used to, well, I used to pay X amount for that. So in their head, that's what it's worth.
Yeah.
And the more like eyes get on their community, they feel it's their community, and YouTubers bring in more eyes, and then prices go up, and now they can't get it for the $1 that they used to get it for. Now they're mad that the community has been ruined.
Yep. Yeah.
But really, it hasn't. It's just more people are into what you like, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, and we're in the age of social media now. That's it. Everything, whatever you're into, and it hasn't been exposed yet, it will. We are in the age where everything is videoed now.
And I'm sure a lot of those people, those collections they had, they've grown.
I was just going to say, that's the crazy part about it, is that the people that gripe about that, it's like, well, wait a minute, don't you have a big collection of that stuff? Yeah, I do. Well, isn't that worth like 10 times more? Yeah, but
because
I'm
blah blah
still
blah talks
upset.
about it, and now it's worth more money.
Now it's worth more. But but now I can't go buy it for cheap like I used to. But it's worth money. Like wouldn't you be more upset if it was just worthless all of a sudden? Like nobody was into what you were into.
And he's the same guy saying that stuff, but now that his collection's grown in value, do you think you would see him go to the flea market and start selling it for the prices that he was expecting?
No,
$1? Or is he going to charge market?
They're the first ones to go, do you know what this is worth now?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
No.
So it's this like, oh, you're only picking the side that best suits you.
Correct.
You know? Yeah. Not to ruffle any feathers.
We're going to ruffle a lot of feathers this week.
Hey, that's fine, dude. I mean,
I feel like it's balance. There's always a good balance. Reselling and collecting.
And we're
good
also
balance.
being collectors too. Like I've seen with stuff that I collect go up substantially. And do I love paying like an absurd amount of money for it? No, but I know that's just as hard as it is here, as hard as it is to hear, part of the game. You know, like that's just how it is. And you maybe have to get a little less. Maybe you have to do a little extra, you know, heavy lifting to get the stuff.
Yep.
But you know, it's still there.
Yeah, and without the resellers, a lot of the resellers is where I get like my big items, like the stuff you can't find anywhere.
Yeah,
so you
and it's
need to
accessible.
work together. You know what I mean? Like trade in stuff, get stuff.
And you can only go so far. You can only go so far.
Exactly, yeah.
You can only go so far. So when you see Joe Blow posting his thing on the internet, like, oh my God, how'd you find that? Well, I found it in a
Preach.
barn in the back of South Carolina. It's like, well, I wasn't going to find that.
Exactly.
So thank you for finding that.
Dude, that
now
is
how
like-
much can I give you for that? You know?
And that's the point that people really can't understand is like, if you're truly a collector, some of the rarest, hardest stuff to find, like you said, it's resellers that are out there digging at 4 in the morning in the flea market through garbage bins to find this one-of-one item you've been looking 10 years for.
Yeah, or didn't even know existed.
Yeah,
now
and
you
of
need
course,
it.
you should have to, that's a lot. That's circumstantially to replicate that situation, it costs something.
100%.
You know?
And that kind of also brings to the point, like, remember when I sent you that Nickelodeon chair? Like, you were asleep. I was like, I can't let this slip away. I mean, I already know how California is. If it's listed for more than 30 minutes, it's gone.
Absolutely.
Especially when it's something that obscure and unique.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know, Curtis found a very rare Nickelodeon chair, probably used for the set of like Drake and Josh or something.
I actually found out they were given out to a lot of the producers of different shows. So like they each like the executive producers, like there would be like 3 to 4 on each show, and they would give them to them, so they can sit on it, on set or in their rooms or whatever. Yeah, so it's a very limited item, in-house item.
Some producer laid a nice shart in that thing. Bro.
Well, as soon as I
It's
saw
still
it,
in there. I didn't clean it, so
I think not even like me as thinking as like a reseller or even a collector. It was just like as soon as I knew like a place where I could find a home, I instantly sent it. And when he didn't respond, I was like, oh, I just have to take it in my own hands. And I drove like 2 hours in LA traffic just to go get it. And I was like, hopefully he'll love this, because if not, it's pretty boring.
yeah.
With the intent to give to Marcus?
Yeah.
And that's the
what a
thing is
buddy.
like, he's super kind. And like, that was way more generous than I ever expected. Like I was fully again, circumstantial. I was fully ready to pay a fair price for it because
Dang it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Because like circumstantially, I did sleep. I missed it, but the fact that I still have a chance and it's not going in some collection where I'm never going to see it again, that's reselling, but at least it's an opportunity.
What is fair price for it? What do you think it's worth?
You want me to be honest without hurting
You won't hurt my feelings, honestly.
Yeah, what do you think, honestly?
Yeah. Just it's a gift. I'm giving
like
it to
this.
you. I'm not always about money, so you're good. Like,
Well, I
it's good.
appreciate that, man. I think that the last one that I've seen sell, because I've been looking for it for a long time. I think the last one sold a few years ago for about 600. But I think now in the
was gonna say
market that
more.
it is, I think you could probably go like 1,000 to 1,200.
I was going to say
Nice.
$1,000. I was
Pretty
going to
cool.
guess 1,000.
I mean, like I've given people things that are like pretty expensive. Like I've even like after I felt so like really good after the SoCal Expo event that I gave you guys Nintendo certificates because I was like, dude, I'm proud of you guys. You know what I mean? Like that's like a $600 item. I don't care. Like I made my money on that stuff a while ago. Like,
Yeah.
let it find a home.
Yeah, if you're having any problems with resellers, this and that, not saying you need to change to be a reseller, but it's like, don't be afraid to become cool with the resellers, whether you like them or not, because more often than not, again, that is their job. So just like how you work really hard at your job, they're going to work really hard when you're at your day job going to find that weird stuff. And when they do, you want to make sure that, hey, I'm cool with that guy, so I can be like, oh shoot, did I need that? How much? I'll buy it off you.
And I think it's important especially like in business or anything you do in life, is just don't burn bridges if you don't have to. Being the guy who hates the resellers, you might need something that they have eventually. And if you're the guy who's been, shitting on them the whole time, you think they're going to help you? Probably not, And I think that I don't know. I think it's just understanding the duality of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that paid off for me, in karma wise, is I was one of my friends hit me up from Florida. His name's Sunshine, and he literally found a sealed Game Boy, Pokemon Blue Game Boy game, sealed. First person he called was me.
Nice.
Yep.
Those relationships, people.
Yeah. And I instantly bought it.
Exactly,
I was
relationships. And that's something, dude, I'll cherish always. It's always going to be in my collection, and the connection to that is worth more than the money could ever be. So it's just that it's in the room, and knowing that a friend gave it to me, it's in the background of all my shots now because it's just so sweet, and the whole process.
That's at the end of the day, when I feel what we're actually selling a lot is just nostalgia is what it is, right? And when people come into my store and they buy stuff, a lot of it is not just about selling this item or good. There's a memory usually attached with that. That's why that person is buying that, or they want to create a memory. And for instance, there was a guy that was in the store the other day. I'm not always at the front of the store. This guy came in. They were wanting to film there, and he went over and we had these skateboard 1990s like Zero. Is it Zero? Zero. And there's just a trap, not a trapper, a keeper, but like a binder.
Oh yeah, I saw those at your store.
And his eyes just lit up, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" He's like, "I had this as a kid," and I was like, "Dude, just you can have it." And he was like, "It was like
That's
$15." And he was like, "No way, you don't have to give it to me." And I was like, "Dude, just have it." Like your reaction to that was like crazy, like how much you lit up by then. He's like, "Well, I had it as a kid, and I haven't seen one of these in 30 years." I'm like, "Dude, have it." And
I lit up when I saw those at your store too.
Yeah, but it was like
I didn't get offered it for free.
Even no, but even like
You gotta be like cheesing, man.
go over the top,
bro. Like I said, I've said this a zillion times. You'll go out with Ricky and Riff. They have this golden touch while they're hunting. Riff literally finds a $300 putt plush, one of the most obscure plushes, and one of our friends, friend of the channel as well, Dan, hit up Riff. He's like, "Dude, that was my favorite game," and Riff literally gave it to him for a steal,
$20. It's like literally sell for $300.
$300. Putt.
PC game.
Yeah, computer game.
Little PC cartoon.
And I think that's something that, like, I mean, it's the internet, so people are always they see what they want to see, right? And they don't realize, like, not just because somebody's a reseller and you think that's like, you don't realize how many things they give away to people. Like, I give away stuff all the time, and I mean, I can speak for these guys. They're literally passing things out all the time. Like, they don't care, and like, they're just people at the end of the day. But you're also funding your hobby, your business. We all have to live, you know. Like, everybody, you know, the stuff that you're doing is not free. And I think reselling, if you completely push it out, you're missing it as a tool also to collect too.
That's the most important thing I think you said this whole time.
Do you have like maybe? I mean, like this is. We still got time on this topic, which is nice. Do you think like channels that are just flipping strictly for like, you know, you go to a garage sale and you're like, oh, this grandma's only gonna sell this for $1 and I'm about to flip it for $200. Do they think they go about it wrong?
I think going about it wrong. Yes, but it's what they're doing is fine. If that's what grandma wants to sell it for, then that's fine. Yeah. But I think there are those YouTube channels where they have this like snarkiness where it's like, oh, dude, like way to really make resellers look like horrible.
Egregious,
like, it's an egregious behavior. Does feel like a little like, oh, dude, don't way to represent us like completely wrong.
The hardest part for me to watch when I watch some of those channels is like, you're already getting a very solid deal. Don't hit them in the nuts with a little bit more.
Yeah, that's true. They'll go lower too. They're like,
oh wait, this is $30 for this giant pile. You take 27.
This basic Charizard for $5. Can you do 2? Like,
he's like every time we're at a garage sale at our house, dude. My wife's like selling like, you know, a freaking Chanel jacket that's worth like $300, and I'm like, quarter? And my wife's like, what the freak, bro? I'm about to drop kick you. Like, get out of here.
One of my favorite bargaining tactics when I'm dealing deals with Chris is like, he'll be like, I don't know. He'll shrug his shoulders, and be like, I don't know. What do you think it's worth? That's his like perfect thing.
Don't name the price first.
I try not to ever name the price first if I can get away with it. Yeah,
it's one of my favorite lines. I don't know. Like every deal I've ever seen him do.
I mean, that is one of the best negotiating tactics. Is actually like it's well written of being dumb in the negotiating. If you actually thinking you're too smart, a lot of times comes across as not good.
Ricky's negotiation is standing there for 48 minutes and looking at it.
I just give up. Just mark it.
No, I'll be real.
I've got kids at home. Just take it, please.
Look at Marcus is like the person that'll be like, see something cool, and then instantly hype factor goes up.
Marcus?
Yes. He's like, oh my god.
That's like Gabble. I'm like, bro, chill.
I'm working on it, dude.
Ricky speed walks to stuff, and I'm like, stop doing that.
I do that.
The best tactics are these are from reading negotiating books, which I did a lot back when I used to do real estate. Is showing like no interest, right? And then time is actually a big part of it. The longer you can usually like drag things out,
there you go.
like you can wear sellers down, or if you're selling, there's a whole tactic with time. Right, and relationship building, of course, rapport is a big one.
One that I use a lot, and I know people might like it, is like the trying to just come out the front with them a higher number than they probably expect. Give it to them there, and they're like, "Oh, really? You're willing to pay 60%? Okay, yeah, sure, I'll sell it to y'all." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Sometimes I just come like, "I'll give you this, dude," and they're like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." That happened on one of the big collections recently that we're trying to buy online. The guy was like, "What do you want to pay?" And I was like, "I'll give you 60%," and he was like, "Done." Like I know everyone else offers me 30%.
Yeah,
I was like, "Okay, cool." let's move on.
That's pretty bold because that's usually the hardest part in any negotiation, right? It's like getting who's going to say what first. You're always like, oh, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to say too little.
That's why I feel like if you're saying a percentage, you can't really screw yourself because you're not saying an actual number. You're just being like, whatever this ends up being worth when you put it into price charting, I'll give you 60% of that, which
it's pretty good.
Well, obviously for us, it's good. You have a store. It's completely different. Ricky and I have no overhead. You know, we get to throw it in our shed, move it on Encore the next week and be done. You know, it's a lot different. We don't pay employees. So obviously.
Yep,
it makes sense.
Depends on what's in it too.
I hate giving the price like first too. Like I've never done it. Like I wasn't trying. Like I've never not given the like said the first price because it was like a tactic. I was just like I hate doing that because I'm just like oh if I save my price I'm thinking I don't want to lowball them, but at the same time I don't like what if like I say 50 and he's thinking like $5. You know I'm super overpaying. You know so like I guess like if a person forces me just go with the number you're comfortable with a little higher than maybe what you would think is lowball but you're still okay with. Yeah. But yeah, I always try to get the person to tell you first because it's more comfortable.
You guys ever felt guilty like profiting off your friends that really wanted something or no?
Profiting off your friends? What do you mean?
Like I said,
what did we do to you, Curtis? What are you trying to get at? Just say it, bro.
No, I'm saying like you got an item before them, but they really wanted it, but you're like, have you ever felt guilty selling it, and making a little bit of money on it?
Dude, that always happens to me, but I've never done that to somebody. But I've had so many people that I've tried to get something from them, and then they go and sell it to somebody else for like double, and just like they didn't even talk to me. They're just like, oh yeah, well he offered me this much.
I have a problem. I always want to give bro deals, but like you bite your teeth. Or something.
Yeah, but I think the realities with our group is most of us are wise enough with money and have families and lives to where we end up going, yes, I really want that, but dude, just sell it and make money.
Yeah.
Like I would kill to have that, but dude, make your money. You scored, make money.
You're right.
I find it hard sometimes, not dealing with friends, but selling to friends can be difficult. Like you really wanted that Lugia first edition.
Yeah, I offered you above price.
I know you offered me like a really good price on it. And I was like, I don't know. I just didn't want to like rip you off, and I didn't want to get ripped off myself. And I was like, I think I'm just gonna hang on to it, dude. But
it's hard. No, I get it.
Referencing this, I don't know.
Totally.
No,
get waxed is pretty much our answer. Like,
get waxed, dude,
I think it's understanding where your friends are coming from too, in their perspective. Like for example, Chris, he had I filmed in my video when you picked up that SpongeBob TV. Yeah, and it was like still mint in the box. I was like, in my mind, I'm like, should I give him an offer for it? But I'm like, I'm not going to give him as much as he can make. And he's got a business to run. I'm just going to, just like, I'm just not even going to put my hat out there because it's like he can make the money on and that's better.
Yeah, he made it on Blake. Don't worry. He made it back.
I would have been fine if you did make an offer. I probably would have declined anything unless you were like $1,000, which would have been absurd.
Yeah.
But because I had just found it, so there's like the exhilaration of just finding it. I have a tough time parting with something right away when I'm like, I just got
What are they worth?
Probably 400, I want to say.
Did Blake buy it from you?
What's that?
Did Blake buy it from you?
No, Blake and I coin flipped.
That was the best coin flip.
You never see those
I bought it for like 100.
Like that. I have the TV, but you'd never see it in the box.
What
like
would you have
that.
offered him?
I probably would have said like 300, something like that, which isn't like, he could.
Bad.
That's pretty good. No tax.
Yeah,
like
no
not worry about
tax, Chris.
shipping.
I know. I also was planning on
all wax.
No, I'm
shipping?
going to keep it for the new store location.
Yeah, exactly. But it was like, he'd already found it. It was just like fresh. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even gonna. It's like understanding your friends. Like, if it's something that they're willing to give to you, like, don't be the one like, oh yeah, you want to give this to me? You want to give me a good price on this? But
I've literally gone up to Ricky, like, hey bro, I like that shirt. How much off your back? He's like, oh, I guess I'm selling you my jacket.
Yeah, and you also will sell stuff right away. Like there's been many times you've found something at the flea market. I'm like, dude, I really would buy that off you. Like all those beat 'em and eat 'ems that you found.
All the Atari porn games.
Yeah.
The Goodwill stuff I found in Baja at dinner. I was like, hey, I don't do that good on disc-based stuff. You want to buy them off me for your store for cheap? You're like, okay, maybe.
Yeah. And like the beat 'em and eat 'ems, like you had found it like literally 10 seconds later. I'm like, I'll buy all those. And you're like, yeah, sure. No problem.
And I like quadrupled up.
Yeah.